Something pretty intense just happened in a Senate hearing, and if you blinked, you might have missed what actually made it so powerful. A simple question was asked, not once, not twice, but over and over again. And somehow, no one on the panel gave a straight answer. You can literally feel the tension building as Senator Mark Wayne Mullin keeps pressing, while Chairman Bernie Sanders steps in to control the room. And by the end of it, it's not just a discussion anymore, it's a full-on clash of values.
Senator Cassidy.
I defer to Senator Mark Wayne Mullin.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for our panelists for being here. I'm going to address a question real quick about why is it so expensive. 14 years ago, my wife and I wanted to provide health care for our employees. It was actually going to be a benefit because we were having a lot of employees miss work because they couldn't find child health care. So we went through the process of trying to set it up, and it was crazy how expensive it was. Then outside of that, the liability that it brought to our company honestly outweighed the benefit of it. Because of how much regulations that we pour on these early child development centers, preschool, it makes it almost cost prohibitive. And so if we really want to fix cost, we should start looking at ourselves and seeing out a way that we can soften the amount of regulations and still keep our kids safe. Now, let me get to the point of my questions and kind of make a point here. When we're trying to federalize our education system, to me, it sounds like we're trying to move more towards socialism. Because when you federalize an education system, you're standardizing what you're going to be teaching our kids and taking the parents out of the ability to have a say in it. And so I have a lot of concerns about this, and it still baffles me that the chairman of our committee, Health, Education, I'm going to put that big, Health, Education, Labor, and Pension Committee, that was appointed by our Senate Democrats, is a self-proclaimed socialist. I'm not just calling that. Chairman, you openly say that you're a socialist. In your book, Outsider in the House, the chairman says, Bill Clinton is a moderate Democrat. I'm a Democrat socialist. That's over our education system. I have a book here in front of me called Our Skin that has been endorsed by NACI. And I'm going to read exactly what this book says. You guys might find it interesting. A long time ago, way before you were born, a group of white people made up an idea called race. They sorted people by skin color and said that white people were better, smarter, prettier, and they deserved more than everybody else. This would be taught if we socialize our pre-K system. This would be taught.
Do you disagree with that findings in the book?
1,000%. How about we teach Jesus loves me? How about this? In teaching Jesus loves the little children, the lyrics go, red and yellow, black and white, they're all precious in our sight. Now, which one would you think would be better? I'll ask everybody on the panel, which is better to teach? This, that is a story that was made up to teach our kids, 3-year-olds who have no idea what race is, now all of a sudden is being taught that white people said this as a truth. Someone point at me that this being a truth, that white people developed race, that white people developed that all of a sudden that was our word that we developed. By the way, I'm Cherokee, Native American. I think we have experienced a little bit of racism before in my life, Chairman.
Senator Mullin.
So I ask everybody on the panel, which one is better to teach? This or the Jesus Loves Me lyrics? Ma'am, I'll start down here. Just tell me which one. I don't have time for an explanation.
What I'll tell you, Senator Mullin, is that what children in these early years develop
I
their
didn't ask
identity.
the question.
It's
the question is which
it's
one
important
do you
that our
think is better
classrooms are.
I'm just asking which one is better.
Let her answer the question, please.
My question is this.
She will
which
answer
one
it
is
as she
better?
sees fit.
Which one is better?
It's important.
This?
It's important that children's identity
That's
and
not
language
answering my
and
question.
culture are recognized.
That's not answering my question.
And that's what creates
Ma'am,
strong executive function.
If
and
you don't want to
good
answer my
development.
question, that's fine. Let's move on down the panel. Which one is better to be taught? This book or the Jesus Loves Me lyrics that says everybody's skin doesn't matter. They're all precious in His sight.
I think it's important to teach that all children are seen and valued for who they are, and that's
So,
what
but when you
Macy's
teach
research
this,
is
don't you
about.
think that other people are start saying that white kids are to blame?
I think it's
It's
important.
exactly what they're going to teach. It's exactly what it is, ma'am.
I disagree. First, it is important that we teach Jesus. And
Absolutely.
Jesus is what we teach.
So which one is
But
better?
the reality
This?
is,
So do you think this is
Could
the
she
right
answer
thing?
the question, please?
No, I don't want reality. I'm asking the question, which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
Misspoke. So what I'm saying is which one is which? Which one is better to be taught, Mr. Chairman? Is it this, or is it the Jesus?
Is your question directed to me or Ms. Mullin?
Well, you keep interrupting me, saying they're not asking the question,
Wanna ask
and I
me the
wish
question?
you'd really stay out of
No,
my
no, no.
questions because
It's his
my
question.
time.
He gets to dictate it.
Which
Not
one?
dictated. Ask the question.
Which one?
Talking to Ms. Mullin, right?
Yes,
as I stated, Jesus is always first.
absolutely. I agree with that. So let me end with this because I still have more time because the chairman kept interrupting me. I'm going to close with two quotes, okay? The first is from John Adams. It says, "Morality and virtue are the foundation of a republic and necessary for society to be free." The second one is from our socialist communist, Joseph Stalin, that says, "Education is a weapon whose effect depends on whose hands it is in and whom it is aimed." We got to be careful what we're trying to do here. With that, I yield back.
Senator Baldwin.
What you're watching here is more than just a tense exchange. It's a clear example of how divided the conversation around education has become. Senator Mark Wayne Mullin raises a concern that many conservatives have been talking about for years: the growing role of government in shaping what young children are taught. He ties that concern directly to cost, regulation, and ultimately, influence over values. But instead of staying in the abstract, he simplifies the issue in a very direct way. He presents two contrasting ideas, one centered around teaching about race and historical narratives, and the other focused on a message of unity and equality rooted in faith, and asks a straightforward question: which one should be taught? Now, from his perspective, this isn't just a question, it's a test of priorities. But here's where the moment becomes revealing. The panel doesn't engage the question directly. Instead, the responses shift toward broader themes, talking about inclusion, identity, and making sure children feel seen and valued. Those are important ideas, no doubt, but they don't actually address the choice he put forward, and that's what triggers the tension. Mullin repeats the question, trying to bring the conversation back to a clear answer. You can hear the frustration build as he points out that he's not getting a direct response. At the same time, Chairman Bernie Sanders steps in, attempting to keep the discussion on track and ensure the panel can respond in their own way. But from Mullin's point of view, those interruptions are part of the problem because they prevent the kind of direct accountability he's trying to get. And this is really the core of the moment. It's not just disagreement, it's a fundamental difference in how each side approaches the issue. One side is asking for clear, direct answers and emphasizing parental values and simplicity in early education. The other side is approaching the topic with more nuance, focusing on broader social context and avoiding framing the issue as a binary choice. And when those two approaches meet in a setting like this, you get exactly what we saw: frustration, repetition, and a breakdown in communication. Whether you agree with Mullin or not, the moment highlights something important. Many Americans feel like straightforward questions aren't getting straightforward answers, especially on issues involving children and education. At the end of the day, this wasn't just about one question. It was about who decides what children learn and how those decisions are made. And moments like this show just how far apart the two sides really are. If you want more clear, fact-based breakdowns without the noise, make sure to like, subscribe, and share Capitol Review so you don't miss what really matters behind the headlines.